Well, good morning, Northside. This is Pastor Alvin Blackard of Northside Assembly of God in Springfield, Missouri. It is Saturday Saints again, and today I want to share with you one scripture, and then I'm going to give you something on. There's 30 ministers that I have on this piece of paper, and out of those 30, I know about 12 of them, and I want to share a few of those folks today, and then we'll come back a little later on and do some more in depth on these. But the scripture is found in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. It says, from the Peterson Bible, is the Message Bible, says, "You're not alone. The grandstands of heaven, all the way up into the clouds, the highest seats in the bleachers, are piled high with people who stood the test of time and eventually saw their faith manifested." What I have here, and I was looking over this the other day, is a book from the Assemblies of God for the years of 2001 to 2003 of all the ministers in the Assemblies of God that passed away, went on to be with the Lord. It was by districts, and here is an interesting thought is that in the Southern California district, which is this side right over here, is where my father came out of in Covina, California, but did his ministry in the Southern Missouri page. So here's what I want to do is I want to just kind of show you some of these ministers and then just tell a little bit about them, and then I will close with one in particular. Now, the one that you see there is Alvin Blackard Sr. That is my father, and he and I worked together in the ministry for some time here at Northside. And then, if I can read these, there's a little glare, but then we find a young man by the name of Cohen, and I will tell you the story about his brother. He's the one that lost his eye, but God gave him a miracle to where he could read out of the eye socket. And then the next one is Brother Brother DePinto, and he was a chaplain at Maranatha. If you drop down, you'll see Brother Lundstrom, and this was the grandfather of a young couple that attended Northside, David and Don Oath, who ministered there. Brother Lackey, he pastored here in Springfield. And then Brother Marvin Ivy, he was a good friend of my father, and a good friend of Brother Ridley Thomas. And then we have some other ministers here, Brother Thomas Hoover. Brother Hartwick is next, and he pastored which is now Life 360. He pastored there on Grand Street. And then Brother Green, Brother Glenn A. Green, he was the pastor at Northside that my father followed and had been here for some time. We go on down, and Brother Pickney, he pastored here in Springfield. And Brother Pig, I know him, and we worked with him when we were presbyters. And then Brother Melvin Sachs, the brother of our district superintendent, sometime back, Brother Nelson Sachs. And then Brother Woodall, he was a state representative, and then for Missouri. And then also we have Mary Woodbury, and Mary is the person that I want to zero in on today. She came to Springfield, her and her husband Russell, and they made Northside their church home. And for 50 years, Sister Mary Woodbury had pastored in Oklahoma. She would go in and take a church that needed a lot of repairs. She would take a church that was broken down, and her husband was a great carpenter. And he would go in and he would repair the building, and he would fix the building, and she would do the preaching. And in one particular time, she shared how that she had her little smock on that had pockets in the front, and she was walking around in the front of the church on the property, and she was picking up beer cans out of the ditch for Sunday. And she said that as she had her smock filled with beer cans, she said, as she looked up to heaven, she said, "Lord, please don't come. Don't come right now for me, because I don't want somebody in the community coming and finding me with beer cans in my smock and me not being able to tell them what was going on." She was such a precious, precious lady. We loved her and her husband. I tell you, he made grandfather clocks. He was a craftsman, and whenever he was in the hospital and I went in, I said to the nursing people, I said, "Listen, this man is a craftsman. It's not just a number, not just a name, but he is a man of great worth in the grandfather clocks." But what Sister Mary indelibly left in my heart and my impression was that she was very faithful to worship the Lord. They sat in the same place and they loved the Lord. And every time that she ever preached, I was always blessed. But she made a statement one time, and I want you to understand this statement. I want you to take it to your heart. I want you to feast upon it and take it as a good rescue rope to you, as if it were. And And that is this. She said, God will pull you out of any situation. He will pull you out of any circumstance if he can just find something strong enough to hook onto. I think that is so powerful. God is willing to pull us out of any muck and mire that we might be in. He will pull us out of any ditch that we're in. He'll pull us out of any circumstance that we're in, any situation we're in. But he has to have something strong enough to hook onto. Don't let go of the strong arm of the Lord. Well, I trust you've enjoyed Saturday Saints, and we're going to pick up some of these in later dates, and especially my father. But I want to do something special for him as well as the other ministers that I am so aware of and know. I want to do a legacy broadcast on him because he and I, we go back. He took a chance on me and brought me on board. And, one of the executive presbyters of our full national office said, Pastor Blackard, listen, it doesn't usually work out when a father and son are working together. And I'll never forget, my dad looked at that executive presbyter and he says, it does when God's in it. And so I want to share some special things about my father in the days to come. But we're going to look at more of our ministers out of Northside, our missionaries out of Northside. But be encouraged that God will pull you out of any circumstance if he can just find something strong enough to hook onto. May God bless you on this Saturday Saints Day. Amen.